Today, it's all about women-led brands, from their beginning, hurdles that they overcame, and where their brands are going, and diving into topics around this mindset of building a brand. So I wanted to bring on an amazing woman herself, one of our fellow Beautytap experts, turned from amazing marketing to a beauty blogger, Jonni Roberts. Hi, Jonni.
Hi, everybody. Oh,
Well,
I'm so excited to be here. I'm ready to burst out of my chest. Like, so excited to be part of this topic. These women that we get to speak to, that I get to be here with all of you. So I just have to get that out. It goes out. So thank you, Jonni. I have the privilege of introducing our wonderful panel today, and I'm going to start off.
We have some returning faces, but some new amazing people we are excited for you to meet. So who we got on?
I'm going to start with our newest, and that is Asia Bradley Kemp. And she is the Chief Experience Officer for Conversate Collective, which I'm going to let you explain what that is, because you do so much that I want it from the master. And she also founded the Love My Curls Australia, a one-day festival in New Zealand and Australia that celebrates curly and textured hair. So I'm going to give you the floor now to tell us a little bit about what that all is.
Cool. Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here talking to you guys and all of the Beautytap community. I love the Beautytap brand and what you all do as experts in providing beauty product reviews. So I'm really excited to be here. So Conversate Collective, we are a brand experience agency that works with businesses to really help them develop deeper relationships with their customers through live activations. Prior to COVID, we were doing a lot of events, but also we work in the communication space and working with brands on their influencer marketing and communication strategy. So through that work, we happen to work with a lot of beauty brands, and you can check out our page to kind of see who our clients are. But in terms of Love My Curls, that was a festival that I started. We did our first one in 2019, and that was born out of my experience living in Australia. I lived there for almost 9 years. My husband's Australian. I had my children there, started my family there. And living there as a Black American woman who wanted to wear her hair in its natural state, in my natural curls, finding the products to do that was challenging. So I either would have to, I'm originally from New York, I would either have to, have friends and family ship things to me from back home, or when I was back here in the States visiting, stock up and bring things home with me. And when I moved back here to the States in 2015, really saw the natural hair movement taking off in a way that it hadn't prior to me moving. And I was like, oh my goodness, I really wish me and my friends, back in Sydney could have had this experience from, the brands, accessing the product, learning about the product, learning about taking care of your natural hair. And so I decided to create it. It wasn't there, so I decided to do it. And so we had our first festival in 2019. We had over 250 women. We had brands from the US come over to Australia. It was their first time physically as brand representatives being in the market. And so, yeah, it was an amazing day. Unfortunately, we couldn't do it in 2020. As we couldn't do a lot of things, but we are bringing the festival back this year. So Love My Curls will be back at the end of this year in Sydney.
How exciting. And I love that mindset as there's something not here that I wish there would be. There's a community that's not there. I'm just going to build it myself and rock it out. So thank you so much for doing that. And thanks for being on our Luminary panel today.
Thank you.
And that's a testament to you being a luminary, finding the niche and filling it. So thank you. Next up, my fangirl moment, Allyson Welch. I have full Thyrst Beauty face on today. Those of you on the call, we represent Serum 11 on Beautytap, and she's here to discuss her brand, Thyrst Beauty.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. And what a nice intro. So flattered. Um, should I just start with just talking a little bit about the brand and like what it is? Okay. So for people who don't know what Thyrst Beauty is, well, first of all, I'm Allyson. I am the creator of Thyrst Beauty, and basically I created the brand because I felt there was a need for something natural and clean ingredients, super clean, not even by Sephora standards, but by like detox and keto standards. The red lists are pretty intense, and something that kind of created all of that and gave you all the benefits of great skincare and health and wellness, but packaged in a smaller platform. So it has 4 products, and the products kind of lean on each other, and it's designed to be super effective, but save you time and money. So that's kind of the gist of the brand. Is that a little too brief, or should I keep going?
No, we're going to learn a lot about your brand today.
Okay.
For our expert community on this call, because we get to see you, we're live on social, but also our expert community's here too.
Awesome.
Your product has rocked out. People are loving it. And I'll use Jenny's word. It's a testament to you have a dream, and you went 110% at 100 miles per hour to get there. And today I'm excited to hear more about your journey
Yay,
to this perfect, beautiful little product here that our experts have got to experience. So thank you so much, Allyson.
Thank you.
And last but not least, I'm a familiar face for some of you, I'm sure, Dr. Tess Mauricio. We're so happy to have you here today. Stanford grad, located in San Diego, dermatologist to the stars. We love her. She is full of knowledge, and I'm so excited to hear what she has to say today as well. Dr. Tess?
Thank you, Jenny, and thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jonni, for inviting me. And I was really excited to be part of this because usually, we're talking about technology and procedures, but I like to hear other, people's stories. And I really feel that, we can really empower and inspire each other. And for me, I wasn't, I never really actually planned on building a brand and being on my own. I'm the first person in my family to become a doctor. I'm the first entrepreneur. Everyone in my family just worked for someone. You just have a job, you go in. And even after graduating from Stanford Medical School and finishing my training in dermatology, I really only aspired to have a job. It's really like get a job. I got a job in one of the premier cosmetic dermatology and one of the first medical spas in the country at the time, and I was happy, but it was my real working condition that really didn't fit my own authentic personality and also the way I wanted to practice medicine and treat my patients. And obviously being an immigrant woman of color as well, I think there's just a lot of pressures that I just was not happy in my working condition. And so really I was sort of forced to make a decision whether how I'm going to practice and how I'm going to live my life and how I'm going to treat my patients. And I decided to venture out on my own. And it started out as just subleasing 2 office rooms from my primary care doctor, starting out with me and my sister. And, and since then, that was in 2004. And since then, we've kind of built a brand. I'm the founder and CEO of M Beauty Clinic. We have offices in Beverly Hills, San Diego, and in Chula Vista. And so it was really not a plan for me. But it's one of those things where, trying to be authentic to who you are and what you want to do, how you want to use your gifts. It really has led me to discover new technologies. I was kind of forced to go out there and venture and look at technologies, procedures that I thought for myself made sense scientifically and made sense for my patients. And I ended up pioneering a lot of new technologies that actually address skin of color, namely radiofrequency. And then I was able to use my ability to communicate and educate, traveled all over the world to introduce these new technologies. And so I think the lesson of my life is sometimes you don't plan on things, but if you stay authentic to who you are and what you believe in, and you know, you really will surprise yourself at what you can do. God has a plan.
Definitely. And our community has got to know you a bit more. You are on our advisory board. You get to have so much amazing input into our editorials. So please go check out our editorials, especially some of the ones Dr. Tess is quoted in and featured in. And we've had some amazing conversations with you. So I think we have a pretty darn good panel up here today. And then let's not forget, Jonni, you are an expert too. You are an amazing woman in the field. So I just want to celebrate all of you. I want to celebrate our experts on this call. I just want to celebrate women in general for continuing to just love beauty products, but also help the beauty world, be it from dermatologist to marketing, to creating brands, and so much more. So before Jonni is going to ask some amazing questions to you guys, kind of here's the lay of the land today. Today, we are going to ask a few questions to dive into the history, the journey of each of our luminaries. We love questions. So I have on my multiple screens in front of me, I have the chat function open. I do apologize for those on Facebook. We sadly can't get your questions, but our experts will be able to ask a few questions. So at the end of our, we will open up Q&A, and we would love to have you on stage. Feel free to raise your hand when we get to that section, and you'll be able to either just vocally talk or be on camera. If not, if you're just not camera ready, because you know, Zoom, who needs to do hair and put pants on sometimes, right? Use the chat function and I will shout out your question when we open up Q&A. And we're gonna finish off with something new. After Q&A, we're gonna do our fast fire round, and we're gonna ask just some fun questions just to learn more about our luminaries, a little bit outside of the beauty world, just personal life too. So without further ado, Jonni, what's our first question?
So I thought it was really interesting, Dr. Tess, you mentioned authenticity, and that kind of laid out the path. I feel like there's a lot of thought and intention in what all of you ladies have done to get where you are. So I'd love to hear a little bit about how your, quick background on how you got involved in the beauty career, what you've learned in it, and where, how it got you to where you are today.
And we're going to go around the table. So Jonni, feel free to shout out that was for Dr. Tess, right?
How about Asia? How about you're right next to me.
Okay, I'll start.
Jump in.
Okay, I'll start. Okay, so as I've shared, I ended up really being on my own, and it's actually very exciting, the fact that I was able to discover and help introduce to the world incredible new technologies and procedure. And this is what I'm most passionate about, and utilizing these technologies, procedures, cutting edge treatments to empower and really help my patients live their best, most authentic selves and lives. And so one of the things that I also ended up doing, because I was part of the group that was introducing this new radio frequency technology, I had the opportunity, the company that I was working with had the opportunity to be on the Rachel Ray show, and someone had to treat Rachel Ray actually on the show, and that ended up being me, and that actually opened up an entire new world for me, which is being a TV expert, a dermatologist expert. And from that opened up my, to Dr. Oz, to the Talk, to Dr. Phil, and kind of this whole media life that I found to be there's so much power and responsibility, but obviously power to really help reach millions of people in one time. Because as physicians, we can treat our patients one at a time, and help them create transformations. But disseminating information like we do, with Beautytap, and events like this, it's truly powerful. And it also, again, allowed me to discover another gift that I can share to the world, which is, the ability to communicate and talk to the general public about these cutting edge, very technical treatments and procedures in layman's term, and allow them to kind of get excited about it.
One of our previous talks with you, Dr. Tess, we talked about the importance of education, and you as a dermatologist, you get to see that a lot. Allyson, I'm sure in your world, you get to educate about the brands, and Asia, you get, there's so many things that you get to experience. And I think for us as a beauty community and Beautytap, it's so important that be you an esthetician starting out or a hairstylist starting out, you are there to educate and understand, and let's continue that conversation. Let's continue that and become teachers in this field too. So thanks so much, Dr. Tess.
So in terms of where I got my start, I fell into the beauty industry. I didn't really ever, it wasn't like a dream to be in beauty. I had an opportunity to work for MAC Cosmetics in their communications department. A job opened up there, and it was like the best thing I could have ever done. And so, I spent 8 years with the brand in the US and Australia as part of the global communications team. And it really just gave me opportunities that I would not have had otherwise, or would have even dreamed possible. Everything from launching the Viva Glam campaign with Mary J. Blige and Little Kim. That was my first launch for the brand, to being backstage and working with designers at New York Fashion Week, Paris, Milan, Australian Fashion Week. We oversaw the opening night event and did events with Dita Von Teese and launched Lady Gaga. So there were just so many really amazing experiences that I got from that position, and just, starting to establish myself in the beauty world. Like I said, it wasn't something I knew that I could do beforehand. And, sort of like what Dr. Tess said earlier about, her being the first entrepreneur in her family. When I started, I know we'll get to this later, but, when I started my agency, I was the first as well in my family to do that. And, we're just we have a dream, or there's something that we decide we want to do, and then we just go and figure it out. So that's how I got my start. And it's been a great ride ever since. And like I said, it just opened up so many opportunities.
Thanks so much. And then Allyson, what's going on over there?
I'm so sorry. I just have to say as a disclaimer, I'm taking this call at my parents' house, and I have my dog with me, and he has a really annoying toy. And so I was just I'm running back and forth trying to get his squeak toy. I had to move the camera because people are walking down the stairs. Anyways, so sorry. The perils of Zoom. So I didn't come from the beauty industry at all. My background is in architecture and design, so that was, and sales. And so that might not sound like it's extremely applicable, but I actually thought it ended up being really great, because attention to detail was really a huge part of my story for packaging design and our formulas and ingredients lists. So it was definitely really important to me that we had a very stunning packaging, and that the customer experience was really great, so that it ended up actually working out perfectly for me. But I decided that I didn't want to work for another person anymore. I had a lot of great experience working for a big company, and I learned a ton about sales and what customers are looking for, and the psychology behind sales. But I ultimately was I don't want to work for another person. I don't think that that's my end goal. And so I spent a lot of time figuring out what it was that made me feel very excited and passionate. And it was kind of in a stage of burnout that I realized that I loved beauty so much, and I was so addicted to skincare. I had kind of a strange experience with a woman who worked at at a Nordstrom's counter, and I had some difficulties with my skin because I was so stressed with my job and I was breaking out really badly. And she gave me this insane analogy, which is super funny because I worked in commercial interior design. So the fact that she said this was insanely like divine intervention. But she basically was like, your skin is like a piece of furniture, and when you set a wet glass on it and it creates a ring, you can't just paint over it. You have to strip it, sand it, and then, you know, reseal it. And that simple. And she actually worked at the La Mer counter, but she introduced me to a natural brand, and I thought it was amazing. But I ended up buying like every product they had in their line, which was like, I don't know, 50 products. It was insane. I was literally spending like hours in the morning, hours at night, and I had solved the acne problem. Like we resolved that, and then I was spending all this time doing skincare. And so after I decided I want to work for myself, and I love beauty and I love skincare, and I'm clearly an addict, you know, maybe there's a different way to do this. And so I started looking into it and figuring out what would be I didn't know what the first thing to do to start a company was. I started taking classes at a small business center and started trying to figure out, like, how do you trademark? What do you do to start bootstrapping costs? Luckily, I say that now, but luckily I was, you know, single and had a lot of money and that I had saved from my job. And I was like, do I buy a house? I'm not married. I don't have any kids. Like, is this really like the direction I want to take my life right this second? And the answer to that was no. So I put the money that I had saved for a house into my business. And I really didn't have all the money I needed. So I did everything in increments as I could afford it. So when I had enough money to buy packaging or pay for formulas, like I paid for formulas. When I had enough money to buy, you know, bottles, I bought those. When I was like, I could pay a guy to do renderings and create my website, I did that. And it was like over the course of 3 years before I could actually bring the product to market, because it took so long to actually get all of those steps in order. And you don't realize how much, you don't know what you don't know. And so like you don't realize how long something's going to take. And so packaging design and formulas, both of those processes took a year to completely from start to finish. And if I had done them simultaneously, that would have condensed the time, but I didn't have the money to do that. So it was like a year of formulas. I had the formulas done, and then a year of packaging design, which that was a fun journey, but I wish I could have condensed the time, but that's kind of how I started. Sorry about that. You hear my dog.
The common factor I'm kind of seeing between all of us, me included, is we kind of fell into beauty. You know, may not have been planned, but we got there and fell in love with it. So, you know, that's just how life treats you. But thank you all so much for having those amazing stories where we started. But now kind of I want to hear what was the biggest next step? So Jenny, what's our next question?
So first, I want to say I love the fact that the dog's running around. I think we see these interviews on TV and even on social media that seem very rehearsed, and you don't really get to know the people. And this is why I love this platform, that we get to really get to know these people, and it becomes more kind of humanistic for us all, that it really is achievable when we see that everybody is just regular old people that came from the same backgrounds that we're in. So I love the dog being there.
And Allyson has her dog, so we now know her dog too. Cute.
I think, I think you ladies all kind of touched on it a little bit, but it sounds like it's kind of slow and steady wins the race. Be very intentional and thoughtful in what you're doing. But it also sounds like there was kind of a pivot point. Pivot was the word of 2020. So I'd love to hear what kind of that pivot point was for you in your career, where you started to feel like it was something building was bigger, like your brand. And I think within that, when you found that pivot point, was there hurdles before it or hurdles after that kind of took you to where you are? And what were those hurdles? And was it hurdles that you saw as a woman, as, women of color? how did you overcome them? Is I think that's, you know, where a lot of us sit, is that first off, like, we're in the beauty industry. Who knew that we could actually make money doing this kind of stuff? So like, what were those hurdles and how can we learn from you from those? Sorry, that was kind of loaded, but.
Well, yeah, so I'll start. So speaking of living a real life, I'm actually with my kids and then my family, we're here. We're kind of doing a staycation. My daughter, who's a senior in college, is on spring break, so we decided to do a staycation. So outside is the beach there. So, but this is what being kind of like, you know, an entrepreneur and founder is like, okay, I got the invite to do this event, and I thought it was such an incredible concept to be able to share stories. And so, yeah, one of the biggest thing, I think, hurdles, I was already married. I had 2 young kids. And so trying to do this and be everything, you're being a wife, being a mom, trying and you know, all of us are shaking our heads because it's really hard. Like, it's very challenging, especially being the first entrepreneur, the first doctor. And, you know, I'm also an immigrant, so I'm kind of still trying to create a network. And like what was said, what you don't know, you don't know. And you just kind of look back. Hindsight is 2020, and many mistakes have been made. Spent a lot of money that you didn't need to. You know, you get taken a lot as well, taken advantage of by people who know better than you. And so I think for me, the biggest pivot point was, you know, being able to, me, who English is my second language, being on national mainstream TV, treating Rachel Ray, and, you know, doing segments with Dr. Oz, were like, oh my God, why am I even here? So there's this, the biggest hurdle, I believe, is self-doubt, where you feel like you've never really seen anyone like you in that position, which is, I think, representation is important. And this led me to actually produce my own TV show for a Filipino network that airs globally, because I feel like for me, I was the only, you know, Filipino in at Stanford. And when I'm on TV like that, I'm like, I sometimes I don't feel like I belong there. How did I even get there? And then you're worried that your accent's gonna come out because you're so stressed out. Will you even remember the words? You know, those kinds of things. And then being in medicine, it's still very much male dominated. And even in plastic surgery, even in, you would think, you know, dermatology, the key opinion leaders are still white, Caucasian, you know, and they're usually older guys. And then here I am, I'll go in and I'm lecturing. You know, if you go in the hospital, they automatically assume I'm a nurse. They don't really think you know, I would be the doctor standing next to these really, really tall, you know, white dudes. And here I am, I'm 5'1". And so I think, and then you really also have to prove yourself more. I really feel like, you know, there's more of a battle from within and from outside, right? Because when people look at you, they make assumption, which I don't blame them for. I think everybody, you know, I mean, how we look at the world is always you know, based on what we experience. And so it's really a matter of you trying to prove that you deserve to be there, that, you know, you are the lead person, in, even though you know, you don't look like the traditional person they would expect in that role. And I've been able to prove myself, and now I'm the dermatologist partner in big brands like Number 7 with Proactive. I have you know, delved into creating my own skincare line as well. So any of you who have done that, I applaud you, and I have so much respect for you. It is a very, very difficult road, and to me, I'm almost like, oh, I'll, you know, just partner with the bigger brands. It's another approach, and work with many different brands. And so I think the bottom line is, if you are the non-traditional person, I think there's a lot more fight. You have to be ready for it. You have to not take failures, and even people sometimes being mean to you personally or treating you unfairly personally. And you just, you know, keep going and always focusing on your goal and have faith that it will work out in the end.
Amazing. So I always say use that kindling that someone throws at you. They tell you you shouldn't be here, you can't be here, or it's never been done. Why are you trying? Use that as kindling to start the fire. For those who like you said, you're the first in the family to do this. I'm sure you had some amazing supportive family, but then there's also those family members who, go back and forth. The community not seeing representation isn't used to that. And you don't ever let that slow you down. I think is what I've learned from that is, use it as that fire starter to kickstart you into the next step of your journey, and look at where you're at now. So thanks so much, Dr. Tess. I think we have next Asia, sorry. How's it going?
Oh, good. I was just going to say, Dr. Tess said it all practically, so I didn't have a whole lot to add to it, but I think, as Allyson said, you don't know what you don't know. So when you're first starting out, you ask as many questions as possible, talk to as many people as possible. I think, for me, when I was starting out with different businesses, whether it's the agency or doing the festival, there were times where I felt like, oh, I should kind of know the answer to this, or let me go try to figure out the answer on my own. Whereas like the easiest and quickest way is to put it out there, what you're doing, and ask as many people as possible, for their help or for their insights. And you'll just get so much farther, so much quicker by doing that. So I would say, like, don't be discouraged by going into uncharted territory. If you have a dream, I quote this a lot, Jack Canfield, he says, if you have the capacity to dream something, you then have the capacity to fulfill that dream. So if it's something that you see as an opportunity in the market, even if it hasn't been done before, just start making your way to solving that problem and to figuring it out. And yes, you'll hit some bumps along the way, and it may not turn out in the way that you imagined it would, but it's better than not trying at all and not doing anything at all.
Self-doubt is definitely something I'm hearing echoed here. Like, it is one of your biggest walls for sure, because of many things. Being a woman in the field, to just being some of the first to break that ground, and kind of echoing, kind of leading into our next question. You hit it, Asia, that you have so many resources out there, and I don't think we use a lot of our resources. It could be your best friend, it could be your sister, it could be your friend in the aesthetic office, it could be your sister in the aesthetic office. We have a community out there. For Beautytap, we're building a beauty community of experts. Reach out to each other, find people with similar backgrounds, interests, and connect you. And that could really help not only give confidence when you're trying to build a brand, but also can help just get you to the next step. And then you have people who always have that pocket full of the honest person, the inspirational friend, and gather that group together, because they can really guide you to the next step of your journey and help get you over a lot of these hurdles. And some of us, especially if we're doing this ourselves, we're the first in our family to do this, or maybe we haven't been supported our life and we feel like we need to do this ourselves. Do it, rock it out. But if you have that community, or if you don't, find a bit of that community that can help support you too. Be it a community of one or community of many, that can really help overcome a lot of hurdles and give some confidence for sure too. Okay, Jenny, I think we hit that question. What's the next question we got on our list?
So I just like to say, I love that, like, if you can't fail if you haven't tried. So what you ladies said was amazing. And obviously these connections and networking is really important. And I personally had experience with Allyson, so I'd love for her to talk a little bit to it, about how important you feel like growing your brand was with the connection and networking, and how has having a digital footprint influenced your growth?
So I would say that, sorry, what was the first part of the question you asked me? I was like still thinking about the last thing because I was like, what Dr. Tess said resonated so much with me about just self-doubt. So I was like still like thinking about that. Sorry, say what you just said, the first part.
Well, I guess it's along those lines as well. Just I think a lot of the reasons that people don't try is because they're afraid of that failure, but you can't fail if you don't try. So
Yeah.
how important was finding the connections and networking through what you've done? Or I said, how did a personal experience, like having a conversation with you about, asking those questions and where to go. So how important to building your brand is the connections and networking, and how has a digital footprint influenced your growth?
I'm sorry, and my mom is yelling at the dog, and I'm trying to yell back at her to not yell because I'm on a call. So I would say, first of all, going along the lines of self-doubt, like you really have to tell yourself, like you have to have this thing that's inside of you, and we all have it, but you have to really channel it and hang on to it long enough. And there's going to be moments where that self-doubt kicks in and you say, like you're like, I can't do this. I don't think I'm going to be able to do this. You don't even want to admit to anyone other than yourself that you don't think you can do this. And it creeps in so often. And you have to have like a 2-second rebound rate, really though. Like every time you fall down, and you fall down like hourly in the beginning. I mean, it's like terrible. I do things like I create playlists so that when I get in my car, it's like I'm having if I'm having a bad day or if I'm having a good day, it's like there's a playlist that's playing that's like it's motivating. It's like music that really gets you like feeling alive and good. And you have to find ways that whatever it is to you that really like helps you gather that and muster that energy. But I think a lot of times like people want to tell you all the reasons why you shouldn't do something. It's like, oh, but there's a lot of competition in the beauty industry. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of competition in sports drinks. There's a lot of competition in protein. There's a lot of competition in so many different things that people do. I mean, how many fitness instructors emerged out of the pandemic? It's like, there's going to be competition no matter what you do, unless you are going on Shark Tank and you're creating some water bottle that feeds your baby or whatever, like something that no one's ever heard of. So it's like, you can't listen to what people tell you, and people want to tell you things like, oh my God, I'm scared for you. Like, that's a lot of money that you're going to put into this. Like, what if you fail? And it's like, yeah, what if I fail? What if I fail? Like, what then? I mean, it's not like I'm killing anyone or I'm going to kill myself. It's not like anyone's dying over this. It's like, and at the end of the day, and I don't mean this to sound like it doesn't matter, but it's just money. It's just money, and you can make more of it. And if you spend money on something and you're worried, like, gosh, I'm putting all this money into this venture, into this stream, into this idea or whatever, like, it's just money. You can make more money, So if it's a dream, I don't think that that you should shy away from it from a monetary reason. But I also think that I think people, it's just really hard when people want to tell you they want to give you their unsolicited opinion about what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing. And I think, there's failure is a choice. And I know that sounds cliche, but I think for me, like, I think when failure is like, okay, did I fail at this task? Did I fail at maybe I could have made a better choice in this situation? Maybe, but you can always pivot and make a different choice. Like, again, I'm sort of still in like the very like startup stage of my business, and I'm at the point in my the stage of what I'm doing is like I'm teaching myself how to do Google ads. I'm teaching myself how to do all of the things that you might pay a digital marketing agency to do, because it's like I'm teaching myself how to do everything else. I might as well teach myself to do this, because it's like if I need to get traction, if I need to get more people seeing the brand, going to the site, like finding ways and being creative to get people to know what you're doing. And talking to people, to go back to your networking, talk to as many people as you possibly can. You have no idea how much knowledge can come out of talking to as many people as you possibly can. I mean, every single person that I know that has started a business, I have talked to. I have brought people into my circle that I haven't talked to since college, that I was like, hey, remember me? We lived in the same building. We lived in the same dorm. I know you started a company. Can we talk? Like, anyone and everyone that has something to say about, that could be helpful to you. And you just have to be smart about what information you need to ignore. Like, when people are like, it's going to be a hard one, you're probably going to fail a lot, or it might not work out. It's like, yeah, all those things could be true, but that can't be the deterrent. You have to still stay the course. And like I said, the rebound rate has to be 2 seconds. You have to just get back up and keep going. If it's funding that you need to figure out a way to get funding. How are you going to do that? So this is very long-winded, but I just think that you just have to constantly say, like, I'm not going to give up, and not let that self-doubt creep in. And like I said, talk to literally as many people as you possibly can.
Just keep going, keep going, keep going. And when you decide, or when you have found that pivot point, you're going to the next part of your business, you're going to put 110% into it. It's not you're doing it half-heartedly. It's like, you know what do I have time for now? What do I have to do step 2, step 3, stage 4, stage 5, and plan it out. And I think you did a great job with that. And you are continuing to lead what I'm seeing in a newer age of entrepreneurs, where you are being more hands-on. And I like that, because then you can understand and be able to hand off to a person like, okay, this is what I learned with Google Analytics or Google Ads. This is what I want you to do. Love this photo shoot. Okay, this is my aesthetic. And you just continue that on. So I love it. So we're running low on it's coming up to an hour, and there's so much there. I wanted to throw this quick question out there before we get to Q&A. And so feel free to jump in. So I'm not going to tell any one of you, but feel free to jump in. Because the world has really been shifting to digital, and now with COVID has just been thrown down the hill of digital, how important is building a digital footprint to your brand, from connecting you to the consumer, but also connecting you to other audiences like editorials, like YouTube channels, like TikTok accounts? How important is building that digital footprint? I just want to hear from you guys, because it's something that we're in Beautytap, and it's something that so many of our experts either are super successful or are needing help building a digital footprint. Any quick little thoughts around that, how it's helped your brand, or any suggestions before we open up our final Q&A to the audience?
I just wish I was better at creating a digital footprint. I think it's very, very important, especially in today's world, which is, and it kind of goes together with what I believe in, what I'm passionate about, which is education and trying to reach, inspire, empower people, and disseminating information out there. Randy Alvarez is the host of Wellness Hour. He was the one that actually first said, oh, you need to actually have a title so that when people Google you, they can find you. So he dubbed me as America's favorite dermatologist, and that was in 2004. So now if you Google that, my name pops up. And it's one of those things where I think digital footprint now more than ever is so important. And being part of, Clubhouse, being part of Beautytap. I know that, Jonni and Alicia also host a Clubhouse, being on all the social media platforms. I'm going to be 50 this year, so it gets harder and harder, I think, the older you are, because, and my kids, I wanted to do some dance TikTok videos, but my kids are like, no, Mom, that's really cringy. Please don't. So that's why I'm not doing dance videos.
They said that you shouldn't.
Right? I
need to see Dr.
I think
Tess
I got the moves, but I think my kids will disown me. So that's why I haven't done that. But I think it's very important. Connections and networking is absolutely important. I wish I did more of that at the beginning of my career. So that was a really great point, Jonni, that you brought up, and that now more than ever, there are so many ways to network and, create communities. The other thing that I'd say is always do and be your best every day in everything you do, because you never know if someone's listening, someone's watching, and that can open opportunities. For example, I am the dermatologist of Paula Abdul, and the reason that happened is because I treated Marla Maples, and I met her through a show, and then we became friends. I treated her. She looked amazing when she went on Dancing with the Stars, and she invited me to be on the show. And I was sitting live next to someone who ended up being Paula Abdul's best friend, and said, "Hey, are you Marla's dermatologist?" And I said, "Yes." She's like, "Marla's looking great. Paula wants to see you." And that's kind of how it opened up. So you never really know when that time is, but always doing your best, presenting your best self, your best work, really pays off in the long term. Obviously short term as well, but in the long term, take it from someone old like me.
I would say, especially for your experts who may be quote unquote struggling a little bit on digital, I'm not super prolific on social media myself, but what I found is, find the platform that you're most comfortable with and go heavy there. So don't feel like you have to spread yourself thin between Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and all the things. Find the one that resonates with you the most, that you get excited naturally about spending time on, and then you'll end up seeing that, that's where you'll find your tribe, and that's where you'll start developing your community. And then, as you pick up traction, then if you need help with some of the other platforms, then you can maybe hire some help on other platforms. But, start with where you're most comfortable, most excited about, and spend, as much time there as possible. And the other thing I'll throw out, just along the lines of networking / social, there's a great app or website called Lunch Club. And on there, it's almost like professional matchmaking, where you can connect with people who are marketing experts, or if you have questions about funding, or you have questions about technology, or whatever it is, you can identify the types of people you want to network with, and everybody is there to network in a sense. And it's not always just about, an ask. It's really just about kind of connecting with some people that you might be able to help, or they might be able to help you, but the people are there to meet other people. So it kind of takes a little bit of the pressure off in terms of, talking to strangers and, maybe asking their advice. So I would tell your community to check out Lunch Club as well.
Lunch Club was great, and I've seen Clubhouse do a lot of connections too. So it's definitely a good time to meet people digitally, but have genuine connections too, for sure.
I would also say, so I would say I'm heavy on social, and I agree with Asia. Like you definitely want to pick your platform. It's pretty hard, especially in the early phases, to be like, I'm gonna, do all of it, and I haven't really mastered the crossover content really well. It's just so hard to do so much, and especially with lighting, and you gotta put makeup on, and I wear makeup 10% of the time. You're catching me with makeup on today, but I never wear makeup. And it's I think you have to, one thing I would say to be helpful for digital, and I feel like I've gotten a lot better at it because I've had to be, but I think there's so much content from your daily life that you can use, and you don't even realize the egg salad you just made, maybe you do something different. You put smoked paprika in it or something, and that's something that people don't do, and you want to talk about how you make your egg salad, and that's and that's not beauty related, but I'm just saying, think of things that you do in your day that people might find interesting, because what you do might be interesting to a lot of people. And if you're struggling with it, one thing that I would say is really great that I did that kind of helped me a lot to sort of hone in on what I wanted my online brand to look like and how I wanted to be viewed digitally was go make sure that you, like, whether that's Pinterest or on Instagram and you're like, you know, saving photos, you want to make sure that you're like, save photos that you like. Like if you're following photographers or you follow beauty experts or beauty brands, save images, save things that you like, so that, and when you go back to your save page or your Pinterest board or whatever that's going to be, you can look at an entire like page of images that are reflective of what you like and what represent what you know interests you, and that's what your brand needs to be about. That's what your page is about. And especially if you want to channel that into your business, you can also just kind of look at those photos and decide which are relevant. I mean, maybe there's something that's like you took a picture, you pinned a picture that's like of a lipstick or something that you really like, or something that's like obviously very graphically touched up because that person knows Photoshop or something. I don't personally know Photoshop, but there are 1,000 different apps you can download that are so user friendly for you to be able to you know, use you know, apps that work very I don't know, they're very user friendly for you to create a really cool looking image. It doesn't require a ton of work and doesn't require a lot of time for you to learn how to use Photoshop, which is like, who has that kind of time if that's not what you're doing for a living, which none of us really are. So I think that if you're struggling with that, I would start with kind of creating like in some way, some kind of digital mood board that you want, that you would like to replicate or what you find really interesting, and go from there.
Your Instagram, your social media, your websites are your digital business card. And what story do you want to tell? And what kind of brand do you want to build? Just from the initial look is important. I could see that for Thyrst. I could see that on all of your websites. It's important. But guys, I think we're coming up to the end of this conversation. I do know some of our luminaries do have to jump off, but what I'm going to do to finish this off is, if there's any questions, throw them in the chat function. We're going to quickly maybe answer some. I'm going to see how many go there. But we will continue the conversation in the Beautytap Expert app for sure. This is being recorded. And for those who are watching live, sorry, but it will be recorded, cleaned up, and we'll put it to our Instagram also too. I've just seen a lot of love in the feed for you guys, so I thank you. So I think we answered a lot of the questions, really hearing that we all have hurdles, but especially as a woman in the beauty field, there are unique ones, as being those of first in family, to be an entrepreneur, those you know, in a field dominated by like you said, especially in the doctor's field, you know, old white men, basically, right? We got to overcome that. But we also got to work together as a beauty community to continue this effort, to build our brands, to hire these people, to hire more people like you who have the same vision, and continue our internal mission too. So we're going to go around. I see a few questions here. Let's go around the table, starting with you, Jonni. Thank you so much for being my co-host today. Let's start with you and tell us where we can find you, your social media, and then we're going to go through all of our luminaries on where we can connect with you, learn about your brand, and then continue talking about your brand. So, Jonni, where are you at other than on Beautytap?
Well, I just want to say thank you just to the panel. Like, we could probably talk about this for hours, and I definitely could. So I just appreciate you and your insights. You can find me on Instagram at toastedsb or at justcallme__Jonni. That's blog and for Beautytap. And obviously you'll see me in the community. So thank you so much for letting me be a part of this today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Jonni. Asia, where can we find you? And also please mention again the connection website that you were speaking to too. I had that question in the chat.
Yeah, Jaleesa got it right. It's called Lunch Club. So yeah, you can just Google Lunch Club and sign up. It's really easy. And in terms of where you can find me, I'm on LinkedIn a lot, and then also on Instagram, Asia Bradley Kemp. The festival, Love My Curls, is on Instagram at Love My Curls XO. And my agency, Conversate Collective, is on Instagram at Conversate Co. So any of those places, you can catch me.
Thank you so much. I have to start growing out my hair now so I can make my way to Australia. When is the festival? Do we have a date yet?
Oh, and I forgot to say, I'm also on Clubhouse. I'm on there a bit too, so you can find me there too. But yeah, so festival will be the end of this year. We haven't locked in the date, but it'll be November, December of 2021.
So we have time to grow out our hair and show off those curls, guys.
Yes,
Okay.
and go
Thanks
into
so much, Asia.
quarantine.
How about you, Allyson? Where can they find not only your brand, but a little bit about you on the waves? Where can we find you? Oh, no, you're on mute. Darn Zoom.
Sorry about that.
There you go.
Sorry about that. You can find me on Instagram at Allyson Welch, and I spell my name ALLYSONWELCH 5, and that's my Instagram handle. I put it in the chat. It's all Thyrst Beauty's Instagram handle is at Thyrst Beauty, and that's spelled THYRST. For obvious reasons, I used a Y. If that's not obvious, I spelled my name with a Y. That's why I did that. But and then also the website is www.thyrstbeauty.com.
And you have to go check out, for those on Facebook, our expert community got to experience the Serum 11, an amazing peptide-rich serum. So go on beautytap.com and read their expert-led reviews, read about the amazing product, and see our experts' experience. They loved it. Go read about it. Thank you so much, Allyson. And to finish off, Dr. Tess, where can we find you at other than on TV or in San Diego in your office? Where else can we find you?
Well, I'm on Instagram at Dr. Tess Mauricio. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Clubhouse. Sometimes on YouTube. So that's why I'm kind of tired, because I'm not like Allyson saying concentrate, but I'm trying to do it all. It really is a full-time job to do it all. And so, and also check out if you are interested in any cool technologies, head to toes, inside and out. M as in Mauricio, mbeautyclinic.com is the website. We offer free consultations. I'd love to work with any of you guys. Congratulations, Asia and Allyson, on your successes and being, badass, pioneering women. This has truly been an inspiring time. I'm so happy. Thank you, Jonni and Jenny, for doing such an amazing time of putting this entire panel together.
And I love the editorials we have with you, Dr. Tess. I love seeing you on, I think you were just on TV.
Today, I had a segment on NBC's California Live on our Rockstar treatment, which is Paula Abdul's favorite skin treatment. You get instant face, neck lifting, plumping, improvement in your pores texture without downtime. So
amazing.
I'll share that on my Insta.
Go check it out. And you do great on Insta, but Dr. Tess, I'm waiting for your TikTok. I want to see those dermatologist videos or some Dr. Tess dancing. I think it'll be fun. Just do it. Embarrass your daughters. It's okay. But thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you to our luminaries. Thank you, Jenny, for being my partner in crime today. And thank you for our Beautytap experts on this amazing luminary call. We love to have our Beautytap talks a few times a month, so stay tuned. Many more to come. And for anybody watching on Facebook or on a recorded version in social media or Instagram, check Beautytap out. It's a place for expert-led reviews where we want the beauty professional, the estheticians to hairstylists and everybody in between to have their voice be heard through amazing product reviews, through editorials, and so much more. Now, I just have to say adieu. So our experts who are on Zoom, feel free to unmute yourself, but thank you so much. Thank you all so much. Let's continue the conversation and let's continue International Women's Month. Go hug a friend, go to your derm, go just, continue having great connections, and let's continue this amazing voice in the beauty world.